Okay, hello. I'm practicing with live streaming from YouTube to Facebook at the same time. So we'll see how it goes. So today I was feeling to share about this topic of clearing the mind to be able to settle in and be still. And be in a state of rest, actually. I've had calls with a couple of friends and spent some time recently as well with another friend, and the same theme or topic had come up, particularly for the friends on phone calls who were living alone and then coming into this whole phase of the shelter at home and feeling all this movement and energy happening in terms of the pandemic and all the uncertainty of what it would mean. And a couple of them were just having a real fear of being where they were, not because there was anything wrong with where they were, but they were just had suddenly this panic of maybe I'm to be somewhere else and I want to be with mighty companions to feel safe. So we went through that process of just exploring it all until it came to the realization, actually, no, just exactly where I'm meant to be. And one of the friends I was on the call with, she said she'd started decluttering her house. And so we explored that together, and I really want to speak about this because decluttering is a great project if you have clutter around you, because we can learn to see that everything in our current experience in our life is a reflection of our mind in some way. And so if you find that your mind is a bit cluttered, it's not completely clear, and you have clutter around you, by clutter I mean unfinished business. So there's piles of stuff, like unfinished things, unfinished stuff. It can be a reflection of putting things off in the mind. And it is a great practice, and I highly recommend taking the time and valuing this opportunity right now. Actually, if you have some spaciousness, then take this opportunity right now to really use it as an opportunity to clear, for clearance, for emptying, and for doing this in such a way that it's prayerful and conscious, not just like a throwing things out, but more of a mind-watching opportunity to inquire, why am I holding on to this? Or have I worn this in the last year and a half? Or in terms of clothes, or if you have 3 or 4 of something and you really don't need 3 or 4 of something, whether it's a small kitchen appliance or, whatever it is, 3 or 4 copies of something, if you really don't need it and it's just adding to accumulation of stuff, then it's great just to take a look at, do I really need this? Do I want this? Is it serving my awakening right now? And if not, then feel free to let it go. So the friends I've joined with in this process have really found it very, very helpful and seen that it's definitely a reflection of mind. One of them could just trace it back to having gone through some major changes in her life where she felt really disrupted and unorganized, and then almost got into a pattern of not being able to keep things clear. It was too much. It was overwhelming. So even grocery shopping, she'd just come back and throw stuff in the fridge, throw stuff in the cupboards. You know. So what I'm pointing towards is coming into a state of mind which is reflected, where there's a spaciousness and a clarity and a simplicity, so that you can easily flow. You can easily flow, within your space, within your mind and your environment. You know where things are. You don't have to put mind energy into searching and looking and questioning. You can just very easily be moved by the Spirit. And the friend who was in fear, what came through me to share with her was, what if you were in a retreat right now and your apartment was like a cabin in the woods? Imagine this was a place you were going to have a retreat, to nurture your relationship with God. And so what would you want there? The grocery stores are still open. There's still candles in the grocery stores. Some of the stores even have a garden center with house plants or herbs, fresh herbs and little plants you can buy to put on your kitchen counter. Sweet cushions or a blanket, or if you were going to have an altar in your home, just as a symbol of where there's a light kept burning with an image of someone or something that reminds you of the love of God, reminds you to pray. Just take some time just to really put your heart into it. If you're there and this is your place of prayer, then think of it as a beautiful space that you'd want to be in. So the decluttering comes first, to clear out. And then when everything's spacious, then open up to letting your love fill the space. So, a couple of friends I've spoken to about this were in tears just at this idea of a turnaround from feeling trapped to feeling like, wow, they could actually be in a really beautiful space. And that's what we want to feel, actually, in every moment, that we're exactly where God would have us be, exactly where our heart is, that we're actually in the perfect place, because I'm fully here. And when I'm fully here, then God goes with me everywhere I go. And I can't experience that God's with me if I'm not here. If my mind is split and I'm half elsewhere or wishing it was different, then I'm not able to receive the gift that's here available. So, see if that resonates. And the other thing I wanted to share was about I Married a Mystic, this book. It's primarily from the years 2005, 6, and 2007. And it was published in 2016, I think. Just about 3.5 years ago. But the content of this book is so present and it feels very much alive. It's currently being translated and it's in the proofreading stages of a number of languages. And it's also throughout Holland. It's been in Dutch for some time, and it's also in Portuguese. And there's another language too, but I forget right now. And it's almost complete in Spanish and Japanese, and it's in process in Danish, Polish. It might already be translated into Swedish. And I am going to be reading it live soon online. I'm just getting clear about the channels. I think it's going to be on the Living Miracles Worldwide Spiritual Community channel. But once this is all clear, and also Facebook, hopefully at the same time, I will send out all of these links so that you don't miss it when I'm going live with it. But today, what I felt to share, and it's going to lead to some, questions and probably some gatherings as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we go with it together. It feels like a collaboration. Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I can see lots of love hearts in the chats. I was just looking at this book. I've got a nice big A4 size copy here for myself for when I'm reading it. And I'll go through chapter by chapter in each reading and kind of share chapter by chapter. But I was just looking at the glossary and going, wow, even the glossary, which is right at the back, it's just each one of these topics. We could actually have a whole gathering on each topic in the glossary. Because they're huge topics. But for now, what was just standing out to me was just a couple of them, which is what we've been talking about a lot. Great, Denise says her copy just arrived. So yes, order your copy if you would like to read along together with me, or have it to kind of reference after we've done our reading. It's an ebook and hard copy, and I'll put the links in the video here. But simplest way to find it is my website, kirstenbuxton.org/book. Very simple. So a couple of the topics here, one is mind watching, and this is, this is our life, actually. becoming so good at mind watching that we become very, very clear in recognizing the ego's thought system. And I'll just read it and then go into it a little. So mind watching is the practice of observing the mind, where we learn to recognize the ego's thought patterns and ask the spirit for help in releasing them. Mind watching leads to an experience of being the observer and allows for the voice for God, love-based intuition, to be heard. That's a nice definition, isn't it, of the voice for God? Love-based intuition. So that's it, mind watching. The more we practice with being able to watch our mind, just watch when there's a reaction, watch when there's thoughts that arise, watch the first response. And the more we can recognize the egoic thought patterns, eventually, through asking the spirit for the help to let them go, we end up in an experience of being the observer. We were able to step back more in a very natural way. It's not like it's through the release and the forgiveness of bringing our perception, bringing our thoughts to the spirit, that there's a natural dissolving away of identification with the thoughts. So it's not like you have to try to force yourself to detach or try to manipulate or maneuver yourself into an observer position. That's still the mind trying to do it itself. But it's more that we become very conscious of our thoughts. And the more you become conscious, the more it's easy to recognize when it's egoic. You can tell by the way that you feel and the way that you can recognize the similar thought patterns. And in the seeing them, there's a willingness and a desire that grows stronger and stronger to let go. And in the release, you're naturally stepping back of itself into who you are, into more of the observer state that's unaffected and able to look, able to be present, which allows for the voice for God, love-based intuition, to be heard. So that's mind watching. There's another definition here in the glossary, which is attack thoughts / doubt thoughts. So when I wrote this glossary, it was because there's quite a lot of language in a book like this. After being so deeply into the course and into this kind of language, I realized after I wrote the book, wow, some people might not even know what some of these terms are. So it's just good to have a good description of them in the back. But they're great to go through. They're very clarifying. So attack thoughts and doubt thoughts. Any thought that is not of love. That covers a lot of thoughts. So attack thoughts / doubt thoughts are any thought that is not of love. They are judgmental thoughts that deny one's innocence and identification with the spirit. These thoughts arise from the belief in separation, unworthiness, and lack of trust. So any thought that's not of love. So that covers a lot of thoughts, actually, that you might not even realize are doubt thoughts or attack thoughts. So even a thought of lack, you might not think of a thought of lack necessarily as being an attack thought. That seems like a strong word to use. But if there's ever a thought of lack, I just went to the grocery store today and I saw the staff there like repacking the shelves, and they were all like pretty frenetic about restocking the shelves because, you know, the shelves were getting emptied by people who were going in and bulk buying to make sure they had enough for out of a sense of lack. And so I had a nice holy encounter with the grocery store attendant there who was packing eggs into the fridge as fast as he could. So even any thought like that, like, oh, what if there aren't eggs at the store? Even that thought, if it's not a thought of love, if it's not a thought from God, then it is a thought of lack. It is a thought of doubt. Therefore, in terms of if it's a loving thought or it's an attack thought, it's definitely an attack thought. It's attacking my sense of invulnerability, to believe that I may need something that might not be there. It's identifying with a person, with a body that needs something that might not be there. So yeah, it's a very clear and very broad definition, and goes really well with mind watching to be able to identify and choose to let go of any thoughts that are not of love. And the last one that I just feel to share right now is the Holy Spirit. Here's a definition of the Holy Spirit. The small, still voice within, the voice for God. The Holy Spirit is the guiding light that is a reminder of innocence, safety, and forgiveness. Through a devoted practice of turning to this presence and following it, a merge occurs where we realize that the Holy Spirit is our own heart guiding us home. That's beautiful. I might just read that again. Holy Spirit, the small, still voice within, the voice for God. The Holy Spirit is the guiding light that is a reminder of innocence, safety, and forgiveness. Through a devoted practice of turning to this presence and following it, a merge occurs where we realize that the Holy Spirit is our own heart guiding us home. So, feels like those go so beautifully together. If you're inspired by this idea of an assignment that I shared of clearing any area of your mind that is symbolically represented in your inbox, for example, if you have 2,000 emails in your inbox, that's a good place to start. Or if you have unfinished piles of laundry, that's a good place to start. Just any area where there's clutter, where it feels like there's unfinished business, and let it get more and more finely tuned to where your mind, your life, your thoughts, everything feels pristine and clear and simple. And allow this to be your practice with mind watching, listening to the Holy Spirit, following guidance, so that we can all be in a place where we feel very much at home in God, exactly where the Spirit would have us be. Much love, everyone.